Good day, students. I am Miss Kandando Tende, and I am the tutor for Social Science 2. My contact details: my cell phone number is 08161555100, and my email address is rishatk@gmail.com. I will be giving you all now a brief overview of what you need to master, the content that you need to master in order for you to excel in the Social Science 2 examinations. There is no specification rather of which exam you are going to sit for, as in whether it is the first exam, the second, or the third, but it's the overall content that you need to master for you to excel in all three, either three of them, of the exams. All right. You need to master what seasons are. First of all, what are seasons? What causes seasons? How do seasons occur? So we all know we have the two major seasons, and then we have the two transitional seasons. We have winter and summer as the two major, like, distinct seasons, and then we have autumn and spring as the in-between seasons. How do they occur? What are the factors that affect, or that causes, or that has to be in place for seasons to occur? We need to know this. You also need to know how to probably present a diagram of seasons and how seasons occur. Differentiate between lesson objectives and basic competencies in a lesson plan. You should be able to differentiate between what lesson objectives are and what basic competencies are. You should also be able to create or to formulate a lesson plan on a chosen topic, and in this lesson plan you need to focus on basically the theme, the topic, the lesson objectives, and basic competencies, and then you can go a bit into how to the teacher's tasks and the learner's task, and basically that's it. So it's very important. You also need to discuss, or to be able to discuss, Namibia during the colonial era up until independence. So you could be asked to write an essay, for example, about Namibia in history now, from German occupation to independence in 1990. So you just need to know everything and all the events and the proceedings that took place between there up until independence. The major events that took place. Be able to discuss reasons why countries in Africa were colonized. You need to be able to give various reasons as to why countries in Namibia were colonized. Why were countries in Africa, were colonized? Why were countries in Africa colonized? We all know the Europeans colonized African states in the past. So what were the reasons? There are specific reasons as to why African states or African nations or countries were colonized. You should be able to discuss them, these various reasons. You need to mention the reason and then explain or discuss it, and then you move on to the next reason. Do not mention a specific reason, because and then you start, when you are explaining or when you are discussing, you are talking about something else. You need to specifically know that, okay, maybe, for example, if you say that they were colonized because of raw materials, then you go in deeper into it and explain what and why and all that. All right. Explain how and why the Caprivi Strip became part of the German Southwest Africa. We all know that the Caprivi Strip was under Britain foreign government. No? It was under Britain foreign government. But now events took place, things happened that led to it to become part of Namibia or German Southwest Africa. So you should be able to explain how and why, what are the events, what are the proceedings that took place for the Caprivi Strip to become part of German Southwest Africa. When another important point that you need to master is slavery. When slavery began and the reasons why it began. When it began, that's the time when something started, the year, or around which years, and the reasons why it began. And also be able to describe the routes, the routes that were used to trade Africans as slaves. We know the brutal truth about slavery. We need to know when it began, why it began, and how it used to take place. Where first the African people were being taken from where to which point, and then taken to what point, and so forth. You should be able to give or be able to describe it, the routes that were used to trade Africans as slave. SADC, the Southern African Development Community, SADC. You need to know or you need to master everything around SADC. What is SADC? Why was this body formed? The objectives, its geographical location, which are the countries that are members of SADC. Yes, everything around SADC, okay? Another point or another point that you need to pay attention to is you should be able to draw a rough sketch. If you might be asked to draw a rough sketch, or you might just be given a map for you to be able to indicate the important lines of latitude. We all know what the important lines of latitude are. The main one is the equator, then we have the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The Tropic of Capricorn is the one in the southern hemisphere, and the Tropic of Cancer is the one in the northern hemisphere. And at the equator, we all know that we have 0 degrees. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north of the equator. Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south of the equator. So you should be able to also mention the coordinates, the degrees at which these lines are found. You don't know whether you'll be required to actually draw the sketch, or you would be given the map and then you'll have to indicate the lines of latitude, or you don't know that. So just be ready for anything. You should be able to do distance calculations. You should be able to calculate distance, whether you'll be given a map or something for you to work on, or you'd be asked to write out the formula of distance calculation, or you'd be asked to calculate distance and so forth. Know everything around distance calculations. Also know everything about or around determining direction. How can you determine direction? How can you teach learners to know how to determine direction? There are various ways. Acquaint yourself with those ways and know how to explain them. There are various ways in which you can determine direction. So acquaint yourself with those ways and know how to determine direction. Also, acquaint yourself with the various vegetation regions. There are various vegetation regions. Tropical rainforest, the all that, savannas and all that. Acquaint yourself with all these various vegetation regions, know them, and then you will be good to go. Population density and distribution in Namibia. Notice, first of all, you need to know what population density is and what population distribution is. And then you need to know it, in Namibia, where do you find which areas are mostly densely populated or which are sparsely populated. You will most probably also need to know the reasons as to why specific parts of the country are densely populated, whereas others are sparsely populated, for example. The other point that you need to master, will be primary and secondary industries. Primary and secondary industries. What are primary industries? What are secondary industries? What are primary industries and what are secondary industries, and how, which ones do we have most in Namibia, for example? Everything you are going to write about has to do with Namibia mostly. So acquaint yourself with the situation and how it is in Namibia. And before I finish, I would like to motivate the students that it is important to pay attention to the verb, the asking verb, what the doing verb. What does the question ask you to do? If you are being asked to explain, please make sure that you are explaining. If you are asked to name or to list and explain, make sure you just don't jump to explaining, but you list and then you explain. When you're asked to describe, then you should be able to describe and not name and explain instead of describing. That's it. I wish you all the best of luck with your exams.